Hello, it's Ricardo and welcome back to Elite Dangerous Beyond. Now, flying around the galaxy can be a dangerous thing, and on your travels you're going to experience many wonders, least of which will be the Thargoids. But while content is as barren and as dusty as an American highway in the middle of summer, and while we wait for frontier developments to feed us scraps of what's to come in future chapters, I thought it would be a good idea to see what it would be like to list my top 10 Thargoid encounters. Let's take a look. So, straight in at number 10, we have the attacks on Thargoid megaships. You might have passenger ships, rescue ships, just common day haulers like this one. There are some logs to glean from it, you know, about saying, hey, we've been attacked by Thargoids, we don't know what they are. The cargo pods have been split open by Thargoid weapons. There's Thargoid green gas everywhere. There's that ooze and corrosion all over the hull plating of the ships. You know, they've made a right old mess of it. Generally what I find, if I jump into a megaship location that's been attacked by Thargoids, there's no Thargoids to be seen. If I happen to log out and then log back in again, for some reason that triggers the Thargoid presence. The Thargoid jumps in or is already in residence and is there scanning the ship and going through its motions, going through the set piece, which is quite a thing to see. All that being said, for number 10, as Thargoid experiences go, it's okay. It just reminds you, gives you a gentle nudge, the Thargoids are there and it can take down these big mega ships like this. It's strange, like from some angles it even looks like there hasn't been any damage at all, but then you come round to another angle and then you can see big holes, fire in space, everybody, and the quintessential green mist that we've all come to associate with Thargoid attacks. So number 9, what have we got? Well, number 9, I'm calling it on the outside, the exterior of the Thargoid bases. When we first found these a few years ago, it was very reminiscent of what the Alien bases were from the H.R. Geiger and the Alien franchise of films. There's the green mist, there's the swirling outside sort of flower-shaped pattern, very sort of indicative of what we know that the big Thargoid ships are like now, of course. Central structure, which you can gain access to, but we'll come on to that in a later point. But, you know, around the outside, you've got skimmers, you've got materials to pick up, you can mine barnacles of such, or meta alloys. You've got the Guardians, the Thargoid Sentinels, as it were, you know, who will attack you if attacked, but then do drop valuable Thargoid materials. Be careful, some of them do move in packs now with later iterations of the game, whereas before you just took them out. They were there repairing structures of the base, you know, and the structures of the base have that lovely sort of pearlescent effect to the outside of it. These bases are great. Again, got the green mist, materials to pick up, and of course you've got the central structure, obviously in the centre, that you can gain access to should you have Thargoid materials, probes, whatnot, to gain access into it, to fox the Thargoids into letting you think that, or letting them think that you're one of them. Thargoids have been also known to turn up at these bases and possibly refuel. I've not seen that though. If you're going to go into that Thargoid base, make sure you've got corrosive resistant cargo racks or you're going to start incurring damage. And like I say, be wary of our Thargoid little friends out there. They could really ruin your day. Number 8, I'm calling the crash sites for the Thargoid scouts. I think these are quite impressive. You see the Thargoid scout up close. Generally you would only see them in combat, whizzing about you in a swarm. They hunt in packs. But now you get to see them crashed on the base, defenseless, defeated, materials hanging about outside, but you have got like one of the rare experiences to have a look at the amazing artwork that Frontier has done to this game and to all the detail that it puts in. And sometimes that's taken for granted. But I think, you know, for value for money and everything, it's been going for years now, and the money that you spend, I think, is great. And looking at set pieces or places to explore around the Elite Dangerous galaxy like this, I think is key. Because it adds just that little bit of extra depth. And there you are. You've got the underneath of a Thargoid scout, everybody. There's his ghoulies hanging down. But all joking aside, it's a nice place to go and visit. You know, adds a little bit to the Thargoid lore. Not much, because I do think the Thargoid lore is lacking a little bit. We're lacking that all-out war, but we'll come on to that a little bit later. Like I say, appreciate the model, appreciate the artwork, and take a look at that Thargoid scout. And there's a few of them crashed around, and pick up those materials. Quick on the heels of number 8, you've guessed it, number 7. And I'm going to go for the Thargoid Barnacles. Now these come in various ranges of size. You can pick up metal alloys there, you can pick up nickel, technetium, vanadium, a whole host of materials that you're going to need to make the fabled jumponium and stuff like that. In addition to this, it's eerie. Again, the quintessential green Thargoid mist hovering around. They're in the same sort of star shape, flower shape of the Thargoid bases. You could say it maps the outline of the Thargoid ship. And it does beg the question, what are they? What are they for? Are the Thargoids refueling there? Are they recharging? Are they mining? Are they collecting meta alloys? And when the Thargoids do turn up at the Barnacle sites, it really is a visual feast to behold. And again, you can't say enough about these set pieces that have been put into the game. You know, people's SRVs being sucked up towards the ship. The ability to get that great camera angle of the Thargoid ships and seeing it all illuminated. Getting angles, you could say, that you probably wouldn't get if you were in combat. Now combat is more commonplace, you know, you can get some pretty good visual shots of our Thargoid friends. But go there, gain your meta alloys, gain your materials, but watch out for the Thargoids, because upon occasion they have been known to turn down, not on a regular basis, but you know, 2 or 3 times an hour, perhaps if you're lucky, to recharge or refuel. Number 6. Well, with Chapter 3, we were treated to a couple of log-based bases to go and find. There was, you go to a base, there's the quintessential green mist hovering around, there's some logs which tell you of a Thargoid attack, 3 or 4, maybe even 5 logs, depending on where you are, and then the Thargoids turn up to rain their Thargoid fiery death down upon the base. Now, this was okay for me, which is why it is where it is, simply because there were some problems in regards to the Thargoids wouldn't attack you, even though you were parked there. So what was all that about? You know, they decimated the base, everyone's left, so you think, right, okay, the Thargoids turn up, you think, oh Christ, the Thargoids are here, what am I going to do, what am I going to do, panic, let's run away. No, you can just sit there and just watch the Thargoids turn up, scan the base, and then start firing at certain locations, as if they were looking for something, they found it, and they were going to destroy it, all depending on what research or what was actually going on in the base. You were able to get up and get pretty close to the Thargoid ships as well, as I showed in some of my live streams and on some of the videos on my site in the Thargoids playlist. And you were treated to a really good view of that cockpit. I couldn't see anything in there, but if you were going to see anything, that was the point you were going to see it. But all in all, there's 4 or 5 of these bases and set pieces, slightly different stories, which I thought were great. But like I say, let down a little bit that they were just set pieces. They'd turn up, they'd carry on, they'd scan, they'd fire, and that was it really. Unless you actually shot the Thargoid, it just basically ignored you, which was a little bit of a shame, has to be said. Halfway there now, number 5. So the bigger ships have crashed to planets as well, and then you can pick up the unknown artefacts, probes, that sort of thing. The things that are going to cause all the fuzziness, as you can see on the screen now from your scanners. Now, these items you can sell at spaceports and are collectible items that you can use with Thargoid bases to use the hidden Thargoid map and stuff like that. Now, really, you've got a little bit of damaged SRV because you stayed too long in one place with these items in your cargo hold and your hull's going to degrade. Go back to your ship, your hull repairs itself as if by magic. Or you can use materials to repair your hull. But early on in the game, this was a piece to go and see. It didn't really do anything. No other Thargoids would turn up. But what you would get, and here's the key thing, what you would get is a look at a ship that may have just only recently interdicted you. And here they are, crashed on the planet. So, number 5, I'm calling out as I'm going to call it the bigger Thargoid ship, the Interceptor class of Thargoid ship, crash sites, and what you can do there. So number 4, we've seen the Thargoid scout crash sites, and that's all very nice and spectacular. But what you really want to do is to see them out in space. And with the Beyond chapter, you saw that. You were given ships like the Chieftain and the Challenger, and now later on the Crusader, and the ability with the AX weaponry to get out there and start to engage swarms of scouts. Now they were pesky little swines, has to be said, and it wasn't as easy as what everybody thought out they would be. It was a little bit of a challenge. But moving around and getting to grips and shooting these Thargoids did give you an added bit of a bonus. Plus, you get to see these Thargoid scouts in action. So for me, number 5 has got to be the Thargoid scouts. Seeing them on the planet is one thing, seeing them in action is something completely different. Number 3, we're coming down to it now, and it's got to be the Thargoid interdiction. Now, you used to get interdicted by a single Thargoid, Interceptor, Medusa class, for example. Although later on, especially in Beyond Chapter 3, I started to get interdicted by up to 3 of our Thargoid friends. And also some sort of graphical abnormalities as well in the game that I covered on one of my other videos. But 3 Thargoids would turn up. The smaller of the 3 would start scanning and doing all the work. The other 2 would just sit there. But your systems would be paralysed. They'd be all frostiness all over your window. And then once they'd finished scanning you, giving you a good Thargoid alien probing, they'd be on their merry way. But even though getting pulled out, right, of hyperspace, right, into a system and then being presented by 3 Thargoids can be a bit of a butt-clenching moment. A butt-clenching moment. There you go, I've said it again. A butt-clenching moment. And, if anything, a really good set piece. Now, sometimes if you're quick enough, you can boost ahead of these interdictions just to get a little bit further away, and then some players have been able to engage them. But for me, as a set piece, I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it, and that's why I've got it at number 3. In at number 2, it's sort of an encounter. Well, it is an encounter. You rock up to a distress beacon, and you find that either the Imperials or the Federation have had a good old pasting. They've dispatched a fleet to go and deal with the Thargoid threat, and they've had their arse handed to them. And you see all the assault ships and the drop ships and gun ships, and then also the bigger carrier classes, big capital ships, and then corvettes that have been decimated by what seems to be a Thargoid. They've had, at that stage, no AX weaponry. The Thargoids have swooped in, done a right number on them, and then are off scanning the wreckage, taking up any meta alloys that might be, or escape pods, which started proving the entire question. Why were they taking escape pods? What were they doing with them? What is the entire story behind the Thargoid threat? Are Thargoids real? Really bioengineered humans? That's why they're getting the escape pods. Are these Thargoids good? Is this a rescue mission? A bit like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, whereas, you know, people were rescued from different situations and then returned. Are we going to see these people from the escape pods returned? Are they going to be Thargoids? We don't know. But Thargoids come in, scan the wreckage, and there's some pretty big ships knocking about. Get what they need, and then they zip off. Pretty damn quick. That's why I think this, even though it's not really exciting, adds a little bit of depth, is straight in at number 2. So number 1. What's number 1 in my book? Well, for me, number 1 in Elite Dangerous, what I think is the most absorbing and best set piece that I've seen so far, has got to be the inside of the Thargoid base. Yes, the outside does look spectacular, very reminiscent of Alien, like we've said before. And yes, even the Guardian beacons that have now been introduced with Chapter 3 of Beyond are spectacular as well. But nothing in my mind comes close to the Thargoid, which we think is a map room. Now the map room is activated by putting 3 Thargoid objects on the different pods inside. Then once you've done that, the entire device powers up and you are treated to a visual spectacle, which I think is short of being beautiful, to be honest, for an in-game set piece. And for me, this is the ultimate Thargoid interaction within the game. And there you have it. Isn't that fantastic? However, some clever dicky commanders did put some Guardian technology in the base as well, and that had a completely different effect, a very damaging effect, shall we say. So be very warned if you do that. So these have been my top 10 Thargoid experiences in the game. I'm not saying I'm right, I'm not saying they're definitive, I'm just saying it's mine. And for number 1, this Thargoid map room I think is great. Absolutely fantastic. Although, as I was going through and making this video, I discovered there was other aspects and other interactions that you'd had with them that I couldn't fit into a top 10. For example, USS, you know, the signal sources, dropping in, finding a Thargoid there. Other things involved the Genosis attack. And even though it was bugged, that sort of anguish of trying to get yourself off the launch pad, that for me I thought was fantastic. Even though I've mentioned the Thargoid attack on bases, there's been several, and I'd like to mention each individual one. Although they're very similar in their effect, they both add to the story. And also the aftermaths of the battles as well, when you see a capital ship that's had the crap kicked out of it. But I still stand by it. Number 1 has got to be the base. Hands down. And the inside of the base and the map room. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I've been Ricardo, and this has been Elite Dangerous. And my top 10 Thargoid interactions in the game. Or top 10 Thargoid experiences. Thanks very much for watching. If you haven't done so, please hit that like and subscribe button and the notification icon. Ring that notification icon. It's all gone quiet within Elite Dangerous, and we've got to make the best of it and wait for things like Chapter 4 and other iterations to spark a bit more interest. Very quiet on the servers. Anyway, thanks for watching once again.